Hey y'all, this is Jamesia with Journey to Freedom. I am your host, and this is episode 2, part 3 of Separated Hearts. In this episode, we'll be going over the coping mechanisms. And here we are.
All right. Now I want to transition into the next segment, which is the coping skill. Coping skills, this is probably the best part of this episode for me because the coping skills are what got me here today. You need a mechanism to be able to get yourself out of the sadness and the anger and the depression. Okay, you have to have something that you can do, because it's not going to be that you wake up one day and you're okay. It's not that. I wish it was that easy. I wish it were that easy. If it were that easy, it wouldn't have took me as long as it took me to get, at least some relief. It wouldn't have took me as long if it were that easy. You have to put in some work. But the wonderful thing about putting in the work is that during the time that you're putting in that work, you're getting to know yourself better as well. So it's good to get to know yourself better. It's self-discovery. Okay. And you're also during that time of self-discovery, you're experiencing self-love and self-care. Because you matter. I'm not gonna stop saying that. I mean, at the end of the day, you matter. And it doesn't matter if it's parental separation or if you're dealing with some other kind of traumatic experience in your life that's causing some kind of mental health crisis. You have to have some mechanisms in place that help you get to a better place. Because even if you use one thing one time and now you feel better, it's gonna come back around. The sadness is gonna come again. The depression is gonna come again. The anxiety is gonna come again. You're gonna worry. You're gonna be afraid. You're gonna find yourself being afraid for some apparent reason. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have something that you can use that's going to take you out of that. You know what I'm saying? So coping skills are amazing. So I just want to go over some of the coping skills that I've used, as well as some coping skills that have been known to work for other people as well. So one of my first ones is journaling. Now, journaling is big. If I had some of my, I do. I have some of my books here. Some of my books. This is just one. I call them blessed books. This is part like 10 or 11. I write a lot when I am in some kind of moment, when I'm experiencing moments in my life. When I'm deep in it, I don't write. But when I'm finding myself coming out or I'm finding myself going in, I start writing. And I can capture these moments in my life where I'm experiencing certain things. And it's actually really good to look back at. But journaling is big. It helps you get out of your head. Okay, it helps you to monitor your thinking. It helps you to, for me, it helped me to get to some kind of resolve. So I would write with a problem. I start with a problem. Seething, or maybe really sad. You can see the tears on the paper, because I'm so sad. But I always get to a point of resolve, And that I don't put that all on myself. I believe the Holy Spirit actually leads the pen for me. So it's like I'm writing and it's like, ugh. But I always get to a point where it's like, but you know what? It'll be all right. Words to that effect, but I always come to some kind of resolve. So it does help me in those moments that I need to get out of my head. And sometimes I have a lot of nothing going on in my head, which can also make me feel down. So sometimes if I'm writing, though I'm not thinking about anything, I'll just write that I'm not thinking about anything and I don't know why I'm writing. And then if all of a sudden I'm starting to get to the meat of what's going on in my heart, It gets out your heart issue when you write. So journaling is huge. Praying is big. Now, praying and meditating can go hand in hand. If you pray, you can also use that time to meditate. So meditation for me is practicing mindfulness, just making yourself present. Being cognizant of what's going on around you, not literally, not like literally what's going on around you, but where you are in your centered self. So just taking the time to listen to nothing. And nothing has a sound. It really does. Nothing has a sound. And I don't know what your nothing sounds like. But my nothing sounds, it kind of has like I can't even like mimic the sound. But it definitely has a sound. And because I've done it so often, I listen for that sound of nothing. So that I can center myself. That is the point of meditation. To become mindful with where you are presently in your center self. It helps you find that center point of peace, that center point of understanding, that center point of you being okay because you're here. You are okay because you're still here. If you wasn't here anymore, then que sera. But you're here and you're alive and you're well. No matter what kind of pain you're experiencing, you're well. Because you still are here and you have a chance to heal still. So meditation brings that point to focus. For me, when I meditate, I focus on scriptures as well. I like to think on scriptures, and when I'm meditating, I want to eat it. I want to eat the scripture. I want it to get down to morsels so I can be able to so it can dissolve within me, so I can have a better understanding of how I can apply it to me right now. And that goes on with praying. Praying for me is communication with God. And so when I pray, it brings me to that place with the Lord where I can tell him anything and he can share with me. So it's not a one-way conversation. It's two ways. He's speaking to me and I'm speaking to him. And I get in his presence. Meditation for me brings me in the presence of God as well. If I'm meditating on being in his presence, since he's always present, if I'm meditating on him being present, then I will experience his presence. And that helps me get out of myself. It helps me get out of the situation that is causing me so much anguish. And it brings me to a place of joy. It brings me to a place of understanding, So praying, journaling, meditating. Another coping skill that I use is reading the Bible. Reading the Bible is so huge to me because that's how I get a better understanding of who God is. That's how I get a better understanding of who I belong to and who he is to me and what I mean to him. Having a better understanding of who God is for me, who God is to me individually in my relationship with him. I claim ownership of him and he claims ownership of me. And it helps me to understand that it's not about what I think. It's about what he thinks. So he shares his perception with me. And then I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? But reading the Bible gives me a better understanding of who he is. It helps me come into the knowledge of who he is. I receive wisdom from reading the Word of God. I can see what his promises are for me. That I have inherited from Abraham and from Jesus Christ. I get to see who he was yesterday, because the same God he was yesterday, he is today, and he will be forevermore. So I get a better understanding of who he is when I read the Word of God. Whereas praying, I'm communicating with him, and he's communicating with me, and we're building this relationship by spending time together in communicating. There's that time that I get to spend with him in the Word, reading, and it helps me have a better understanding of who he is to me. And I find myself in there all the time, in other characters and things like that. And so I just love reading the word because it just opens me up. And it takes me, again, out of my head and out of the situation that I'm going through, in my own perception, and into the perception that he wants me to see in the situation that I'm in. So that's a good one. Oh, physical activity. Exercising is a good physical activity. For me, my physical activity of choice is running. I like to do circuits to work out. I love CrossFit. I used to do CrossFit when I did it for about a year or so. I've done kickboxing. I've done martial arts kickboxing. I like to be physically active when I feel like it. But when I do it, it makes me feel so good. Like, it's like after I'm finished it, I feel like I have all of this energy in the world. My body might be a little weak, but I feel energized, you know? I love physical activity. That's a big one for me. It helps me to think clear, because while I'm working out, I'm like, thoughts are becoming clear. Like, my vision is becoming clear. I can see better. I can hear better. I can think better. Physical activity for me is A1. But, you know, also building hobbies during that time can also be a physical activity. You know, finding a hobby. I personally don't have any hobbies. I you know what I'm saying, that I really do routinely. And I would like to find one. So, you're listening to this podcast, you listen to this episode, help me find some hobbies. You know what I'm saying? Send me a message, email me, send me a text or something like that. Put a comment in the post or something. Let me know what some hobbies you guys have. So maybe I could try one, you know, once a month or something like that. See if I like it. See if I jive with it. And if I do, then maybe I could find me a new hobby, y'all. Another coping skill is social support. So let me see. We did journaling, meditating, praying, reading the Bible, and physical activity. Social support is huge. Oh my goodness. I cannot stress enough. I talked about it earlier. Social support is big. You have to have a social support, you know. I think as I was, I isolate myself a lot, which I've said before in episode 1. I isolate a lot. So it was hard for me to find a social environment because I was just spending a lot of time alone, which sometimes is good. Sometimes it's needed and necessary. But when you're going through a really hard situation in your life, you need a social group. You need some social support. And my family was huge, a huge social support for me. Without my family, like I said, going through this situation would have been really, 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 really tough. But having them support me during this time really helped me. And I cannot thank you guys enough. I love you guys. Y'all are so amazing to me. And it's funny because each one of them do it in their own way. And honestly, I need it every way, you know? So it was good to have so many different people that I could be surrounded with that were helping me in their own individual way. I really needed it during that time. But to have the social support, have somebody you can talk to about what you're experiencing, the feelings you're experiencing. If you just need to get out of the house, you know, because sometimes you can spend so much time, alone that you don't know how or where to go to get out. So that's where your social support comes from. They take you out of the house. They take you to go do something, get some fresh air, even if it's just a walk in the park or something like that, but just to get out of the house. And another huge social support, big ups to every church that does small groups. Big ups to y'all. Keep pushing the small group. Keep doing what y'all doing. Small groups are huge, and they've helped me a lot. I love the small groups that I've been involved in the church that I go to. Big shout out to Impact Norfolk, okay, in Virginia. Oh my goodness. The small groups are amazing. It allows you to have that personal time with like-minded individuals and to be able to get things off of your chest that you wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do in a church, in a Sunday service environment or in a Saturday prayer environment, where it's more people. But if you have a small group and it's being led by a person a peer, it's being led by one of your peers, and everybody in the group is one of your peers, you can have more open dialogue, and it's super, super helpful, especially when you're going through a hard situation. So shout out to all the churches, like I said, that do small groups, especially the one that I go to, Impact Church Norfolk. Keep doing what y'all do. We have small groups semesters in the spring and in the fall and in the summertime. There's always a small group session going on for the most part. So I will put the church in the link, the church's page in the link. I'll put I can also put a small, I think they have like a small group links or whatever link that I have to attach to this podcast, I'm going to put in the show notes as well as on my page, so that y'all can, if you want to join a small group, join. Come on by. They love to have people. They love people. They are a church that loves people. I'm telling y'all the truth. So again, big shouts out. Professional help. Yes, I said it. And no, I ain't say no cuss word, okay? Go get some help professionally. I'm not sure how the mental health resources work outside of the VA. I can definitely do some research if there's anybody out there who is considering getting some professional help. I can definitely look that up for you. Hit me up and I'll help you. Look, I am big on research, so I will help you look. I have no problem with that at all, trust me. But if you are a veteran, so much help, okay? So much help. Right now, there is an overload, okay, of therapy sessions going on right now, to the point where in the VA, there's not even any slots for individual help. So recently I've been doing group therapy, and group therapy is good too. You get to see people like-minded or in situations like you are in, who are going through things similarly to you, not the situation, but how they're experiencing it. And they, it helps to be amongst people who you can relate with. Big shout to all the group therapies that are going on too. They're amazing. So don't be turned off because you're with a whole bunch of people. It's okay. Until you can find individual help, go to a group therapy session. You will find coping skills. You will find mechanisms. They'll give you worksheets. I mean, it works. It works. So go. Professional help, definitely. The list goes on and on, guys. I got a few more of them. I'll put all of the coping skills in the show notes as well, so that I'll just list them out so that you all can know and see. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I am an open book, okay? Healthy distractions is another one. This is where the hobbies come into play. If you have a hobby already, then great. But if you don't have a hobby, then now would be the time to try to find one. When you're going through so much of an overload of feelings, and a health, or trying to find a hobby is probably not going to be the first one you go to. It will probably be better to do something that's more practical for you when you're first getting past the heavy load of your feelings. But once you get to a certain spot in experiencing some relief from these emotions and the mental strain, find a hobby. That's where I'm at right now. I'm looking for a hobby. Like I told y'all before, you got a hobby in mind. What do you do? Tell me what your hobby is, and maybe I could try to piggyback off of yours. Practicing gratitude is another coping skill. Being mindful and of the things that you are grateful for is huge. There is this saying that I saw one of the Bible plans that I did in the YouVersion app, which is also another one. Big up to YouVersion app. There was this Bible plan that said gratefulness is a magnet for positive things. Okay, so to be grateful, you're going to automatically attract positive things in your life. So if you can't think of anything else, be grateful that you're alive. And if you're feeling like you do not want to be alive anymore, that you can definitely seek help. Definitely seek help. Because if you're feeling like you don't want to be alive anymore, then being grateful that you're alive is not gonna be something that's gonna help you out. If you're feeling like you don't want to be here anymore, definitely seek help. But trust me, you matter. There are things that you're going to experience in life that's gonna make you feel a certain way, but this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Just like other situations I'm sure you can figure out in your life where you felt this low before. You got past it that time, and you saw other things in motion once you got past that made you grateful that you did not do, that you did not take your life, or that your life wasn't taken away from this earth. Go back to that place where when you got past it, there were things that happened that you were grateful for. Those are the things to be mindful of. When you feel like you don't want to be here anymore, find a reason to be grateful. Find a reason to be alive, because you are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth it. I can't say that enough. You are. I had to come to a place where I had to find out that I was worth it. And I'm so glad I did, because I'm here today to speak to you and to help you and to help whoever else needs the assistance that they can get. Hey, like I said before, I'm not above it all. No, I'm not. I'm still going through, y'all. Okay? But I'm journeying through. But that's the key word. I am getting through it. I'm getting through it. I am getting through it. And you are too. That's why you're here today. And I'm glad that you're here listening to this. I pray a blessing over you, that all the heaviness that you're experiencing will be lifted in Jesus' name. And then the last one I'm going to mention, the last coping skill, is limiting media consumption. Okay? A lot of that is social media, but TV too. TV, music, depending on how it's targeted, okay? How you're using media is really important, because social media can throw you into a frenzy, babe. Listen, okay, baby? Okay, baby? Okay, journeyer? Okay? Social media will throw you into a frenzy, trying to keep up with the Joneses and thinking you're not enough, and I should be further than this, and I should have more than this, and look at this person and look at that person, and everybody seems like they're doing so much better than you. Everybody, I'm telling you, you won't be able to scroll on social media and find somebody that's not doing better than you, I mean, because that's just how it seems. Like, it's like everybody is doing trips to Aruba and going to Vegas and, all the international travel and taking pictures and, business is thriving, and it's not for you, take a deep breath in, blow it out, relax, and turn it off, okay? Because you don't need it. You don't need to see all of that. If you're using social media to for certain things, like if you have a business where you need to use social media to promo or things like that, is one thing. But don't get sucked into scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. You have to show some kind of engagement, yes, but you don't need to scroll and scroll. Like, really just do what you got to do up there. Give yourself a certain amount of time. Limit yourself. Even if you're working, limit yourself with how much time you spend up there, so that you're not so it doesn't throw you so much, because it did for me. I had to get off of social media so many different times because I find myself comparing myself against other people. And it's like, I'm not in a race where it's like so many of it. I'm in a race with only me. It's me versus me. You know what I'm saying? So the competition is only me. It's the person in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody else can run my race, and nobody else can win my race but me. Like, I am the only person that can win the race that I'm running right now. So it's like, I don't need to be so who knows what that person had to go through to get to where they are. You know what I'm saying? So I dare not feel like or try to engage or compete with other people. No. You got to get to a certain point where you can get past that, because otherwise it'll be more harmful than good. So limiting media consumption is big. So I'm just gonna do a little recap over those coping skills: meditation, journaling, praying, reading the Bible, big one for me, physical activity like exercising, social support, family, friends, small groups at a church if you go to church, professional help. Okay, go see a therapist. Group therapy is great if you can't do it individually. Healthy distractions like finding a hobby, building a new routine, practicing gratitude. Be gracious that you're here, and gracious that you have another opportunity to get better and to heal. And limiting media consumption. Stay off the gram, okay? TikTok is not... TikTok, you don't stop. TikTok, you need to stop, okay? Facebook is cool. Social media is great, but it can be heavy, okay? So stay off of it as much as you can, if you can, So yes, those are the coping skills. Those are my coping skills that I've used that help me so much. And I use them interchangeably. Sometimes I'll do one here, I'll do another if I'm feeling a certain type of way. Some things, if I'm feeling heavier, some of these things won't work for me. Like if I'm feeling too heavy, journaling isn't gonna work. If I'm feeling too heavy, I'm not going to physically exercise. I'm not going to, if I'm too heavy. Sometimes there's only like one or two things that I can do. I know praying works, I know meditation works, and I know reading the Bible works for me when I'm feeling the heaviest. Sometimes I can't even pray. Sometimes I can't even read the word. But I can meditate. You gotta know your level wherever you are in the feeling that you're experiencing, and find something that works for you there. Because you can come out of it. And sometimes it can be almost in an instant when you're practicing using these coping mechanisms. You know which ones that you can grab hold to depending on where you are. So again, use your coping skills. They are it for me. I need them. I use them. Some of them I do more than others, but you gotta find a good coping skill, because it will help you get out of your head. So be mindful of your coping skills. So today we discussed a lot of things. Thank you so much for sticking through it to the end with me. Today I talked on my personal experience of being separated from my children, how that affected me mentally and emotionally. I spoke about understanding parental separation and the effect that that has on mental health. I spoke also on coping strategies. Coping strategies, we all need them. We all need them. It helps for a better mental state. It helps for mental wellness and health. And it also helps you with self-discovery, and self-care and self-love, because you matter. Again, you matter. I'm not going to stop saying it because it's true. I can only speak the truth, and you matter. So thank you again for joining me on this Journey to Freedom episode. Be on the lookout for the next one. It'll be out next Friday, 6 a.m. Don't forget to join the community. I have a Facebook group called Journey to Freedom. I also have a Facebook page for this podcast, Journey to Freedom. Subscribe. My link tree is going to be in the show notes, as well as I'm sure will be in the comments for the Facebook page. Subscribe to my podcast and subscribe to my email list so that you can be up to date and current in all the newest events that are going to go on. I plan to do prizes and raffles. So become a journeyer if you haven't already. Also, if you have a mental health story that you would like to share, if you've experienced a mental crisis, if you are going through one right now and you need some support, or you have gone through and you want to provide support, come on my show. I'd love to have you as a guest, as well as join the community so that you can provide the support that other people may need, and so that you can receive the support that you may need. Okay? So join the group, join the conversation, because mental health.
Thank you, and thank you for watching this episode of Journey to Freedom. Remember that you can contact me by email or comment, write me a message, and I will definitely get back with you. I'm hoping that this episode helped you just as much as it helped me. Again, thank you for watching.